Good day, y'all. Today we're back. Breaking the streak with the outfit, but we're back anyway. We're gonna service the Ohlins TTX Air. So let's get to it. I already let the air out of this, so that's fine. I'll double check anyway. Good. Can. So there are two versions of this shock, Ohlins TTX Air 1 and 2. The only difference is the air can. The air can is a little different on the two models, but you can just check the Ohlins air can service instructions if yours is not this version. I think this is the one. So 8mm shaft clamps over here, using the Ohlins ones, but any brand will work. And the Fox Forks #2 shaft clamps also have an 8mm hole. So this actually is loose because I was messing around with it. So then you can just turn it off. Good. So anyway, took off the bottom up bumper and this spacer. Sometimes what can happen is the air can get sucked down when you let the air out because it doesn't equalize. In that case, you need to undo these screws and one at a time and put in longer screws. So and then sequentially loosen them so that you can basically lift this seal head, the air piston rather, until the seal is exposed, and then you can poke at the seal and or stab the seal with a pick, and that will release the pressure. But this one is not stuck down. The reason you need to put in longer bolts is because these might be long enough, but there's a risk that the last thread will actually just rip out. They're not quite long enough, I think. So anyway, removing these, the air piston, and then the whole thing comes off. Air piston is here. Use a wooden dowel to push it out. So that's the air piston, air can, boom, and the damper. Need to let the IFP pressure out of this. So that's the cap. Torx something 15 or something, and then we'll use a needle, nitrogen needle, whatever you call it. So this is also a good opportunity to see how much pressure was in the IFP. This one is 120 PSI. So we'll release that. I rebuild these with 170 PSI. That's what the TTX coil is. Or I think that's the higher end of their range, recommended range, but I just put that in because don't want it to cavitate. So now I'm gonna, can you close? Can you do a close up? Just move. It's not good, Mom. So I'm pressing this in and then popping out the circlip. Okay. Boom. Need an M4 screw. Not bad. I think it's M4. Okay, that's it. So that's the IFP, the internal floating piston. And the seal head can come off now. That's the Ohlins tool. If you don't have the Ohlins tool, you can just use the Park Tools SPA2. Works just fine. Well, I'm gonna use the Ohlins tool on this one for fun, because I paid for it. Might as well use it if I paid for it. Nice and tight. Okay, beautiful. Wiggle off the seal head. Pull out the piston. Oil is nice and aerated, juicy. Okay. We'll use the same M4 screw for the IFP. Oops, beautiful. Forgot to mention, we need to undo all the adjusters all the way out. Count the number of clicks. So that's that. She's taken apart. Sag indicator. So now we'll replace the seals. Okay, so I let this drain a little bit. In fact, there's more to drain, so I'm gonna leave it here. And we're gonna use the MTB Hydraulics Ohlins TTX Air Routine Service Kit. Very good product. So we'll just use up all this stuff. It has oversized bottom mount bumper, which is nice because the stock one can break easily. So we'll start with the air can. Pull out the wiper. Pull out the quad ring. Pull out the bottom out, the backup ring. This doesn't need replacing, but whatever, we'll replace it anyway. Wipe out the seal grooves. Wipe out the whole thing. Whole dang thing. Swap it out. Pop in the quad. Pop in the backup ring. Pop in the wiper. And that's good. Oh, there's one more seal here. So it needs to be matched up. So that's that. And that's it. The eyelet doesn't need anything. Set that aside. There's a top out bumper on this piston shaft assembly. We'll replace that for fun. Nice. IFP cap, seal. It's the thicker one of the two similar ones. Sorry, IFP, this is the IFP, is the thicker one. IFP cap is the thinner one. Over here. Okay, nice, that's good. This one I think is a sag indicator. Indeed, indeed it is. Air piston. Here's this inner seal. Wipe out the groove, pop in the new one. Outer seal. Note the orientation of the thick backup ring is at it's closer to this edge. And also there is a chamfer to it, so it tapers basically this way. Boom. Boom. Okay. So that's the bottom out bumper. We need to replace this. I think this was part of the kit. Yes, indeed. Excellent. This is the thread seal for the seal head. Seal head inner seal. There's the quad ring, and there is a backup ring. I wouldn't replace the backup ring unless it's needed. And And this shock,
yeah.
okay. So where was I? Putting in this seal. I recommend not replacing the backup ring because it's a pain to get it in and out. On this, the backup ring is closer to this edge, and then the seal, and then the bushing, which is unconventional, but that's how it is. At least well, I think that's how it is out of the factory. I also didn't replace the thinner backup ring here. Not needed at all. So that's it. Seals are replaced, and these are leftovers, no need for them. We're move on to the next step.
Good to go.
Okay, so now we're gonna fill this back up. Ooh, I like to put this in first, this IFP, just dry. .5 weight Ohlins oil. Okay. Take a glove, cycle it, push down on it, push in on the IFP. Good enough. Wait for the close-up. Wait for the bubbles to rise. It came out of from the valving and the IFP, backside of the IFP. Okay. We'll just put this in. The longer you wait, the better. Wiggle it in place. Boom. Boom. That's it. She's tight. Now we take the MTB hydraulic syringe. The MTB hydraulic syringe with the Ohlins OEM fitting. This is from mtbhydraulics.com. mtb-hydraulics.com. mtb-hydraulics.com. And then that's the Ohlins fitting. Combine the two and you have a masterpiece. And now we will use this to bleed the shock. Have fun. Bleed port T25 Torx. Excelente. Okay. Do a bit of a wipe out of the bleed port here, just to make sure she's a good one. Draw some oil. Put in the circlip into the IFP. Boom. Okay. This is at a weird angle, this one. It's hard to get it to go. She's a no-goer a lot of the time. But there she goes. So just mess around with it. Now I'm pushing the IFP all the way out. And I'm pressurizing this and then gently helping the shock come up. And then cycle this as well. Sometimes these small bubbles just need some time to rise. Just wait a little bit, and yeah, I like to cycle this until you get maybe 3 cycles in a row with no bubbles, no booblies. Ooh, that was a big bubble galore. Yeah, she needs a bit of time. Come back in 5 minutes. Okay, we'll let it sit for 2 minutes and come back. So this settled a little bit, waited 2 minutes. The cameraman went to the washroom, the restroom, took a rest. And we're gonna cycle it a few more times. Still have bubbles coming out of there. Also, angling it can help. You know what? I reckon that's good enough. And now we set the IFP depth. So I bottom it out, take the caliper and push it out 3 millimeters from the bottomed out position and call it a day. It's 0.12 inches. Uh, uh. Come on. Where am I? That's 3 millimeters. Make sure this bleed port is filled to the brim, and then wipe off the bleed screw and plug her. Plug her. Oh yes. It's hard to get it into this hole. It's slightly angled. Nearly impossible, actually. Oh, there you go. There we go. Make sure it's nice and overflowing. Snug. Okay. Take out the screw from the IFP. Take out the circlip. Put in the IFP cap. Actually, tiny bit of Ohlins air can lubricant. Oops, way too much. Just a light coating of it. Just a coating. And then pop the IFP in place. Use the M4 screw to set the IFP, aka pull it out. And then we use this high-tech apparatus. Oops. Make sure to poke the center of the pellet, which I'm not doing apparently. Yeah. So I inflate these to 170 PSI. Boom. Test it. It's nice and quiet. Nice and consistent sound. The bleed is good. It's nice to test the shock in both orientations, because air bubbles can move around that way. So that's good. All is good here. Double check. Always double check stuff. Good. We will plug the IFP. Air can goes on here, wiggle it on, boom. Air piston. Rotate it so the threaded holes are aligned. Boom. Air piston bolts, boom. you're ambitious, you could put blue Loctite on this, on these. I reckon it's close enough as is. So that's good. New bottom out bumper. Spacer orientation is like that. And eyelet. Okay, just snug, or else you'll break the shaft. Okay, air can lubricant, any kind of thick oil will work fine for this. That's good. So I don't pull these adjusters because they need custom tools, which no one's going to spend money on other than me. So no point showing it. Okay. Still feels good. Pump it up so it extends. Okay, we'll equalize it in the bike. I didn't check the adjuster functionality, but I know they work because they worked fine prior to the service, and there was nothing wrong with the shock. It's just a routine service. So that's that. So now spray her down. That's it. Ohlins TTX Air. God bless.